Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scotsy Business, and today we're here with Bradley Kam, who is the head of business development at Unstoppable Domains. If you'd just like to tell everyone a little bit about yourself, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm from Atlanta. Been working with a group of friends who are also from Atlanta for about 15 years. Matt, my co-founder, has he and I are working on maybe our seventh business together, something like that. Um,
Okay, wow.
yeah, moved out to San Francisco about 7 years ago to work on a software startup, a company called Talkable, which is like a referral marketing SaaS business. Nothing to do with crypto. So I was, going home and late at night found myself reading about crypto more than reading about marketing. And eventually, knew that I was eventually going to do something crypto, but was just sort of an enthusiast going to meetups in San Francisco. I was living in this house called 20 Mission, which was full of like early Bitcoin enthusiasts and hackers. And
Okay,
Vitalik, Vitalik gave a talk on Ethereum before Ethereum even went live in our courtyard, and there was
wow.
just a bunch of crypto folks around. So I was really fortunate to kind of just be surrounded by it, and then eventually step back from my previous company, Talkable, to work on this full time.
Awesome, awesome. So being the head of business development, how does your day look on an average day? Like how busy are you?
Well, a lot's going on right now. So we are pushing, partnerships with wallets, partnerships with browsers, trying to get sales, trying to do marketing. There's a lot of different stuff going on right now.
Okay. Do you have any browsers that you are okay to mention that you're in talks with or that you've got in the pipeline?
Nothing that we can mention just yet, but stay tuned. We should have some announcements on this front very soon.
Awesome, awesome. And how many wallets are you guys working with so far? Like how many wallets have integrated .zil into their process?
I believe there is about I think there's about somewhere between 12 and 15 right now. There's several
Okay.
that are in the process. By the end of the year, that number will probably be north of 20.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys are definitely making strides because the last time I checked, it was like 4 or 5 or something. It was months back, but yeah, you guys are definitely making strides there. So, for people who don't know what Unstoppable Domains is, can you give them a little bit of an introduction?
Sure. So Unstoppable Domains builds domains on blockchains. We are a domain registry business, similar to VeriSign, owner of .com, except that we're building our domain name systems on blockchains. So a domain name system is a smart contract, like on Ethereum. Every domain is an ERC 721 token, like a CryptoKitty or something like that. So the domains are stored by you inside of your wallet. This is very different than a traditional domain, which is stored by your registrar, like GoDaddy or someone like that. And so if
Hmm.
it's a traditional .com domain, GoDaddy or your registrar can move it around for you, transfer it, configure it, do all of these things, and you don't have full control. So the idea behind a blockchain domain system is that you can do things that a regular domain system can. The first is we want you to use it as your payment gateway for crypto. So you can have, like Scott.crypto. I could type that into a wallet to pay you. You could have your Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, all of your crypto addresses already tied to this domain, and I just need to go into a wallet and pay you. And it can theoretically work inside of any wallet for any currency. So this is like a universal system for paying people in crypto. So that's the first one. That's why we're integrating with wallets. So right now you can do this with IM token, with Trust Wallet, with Atomic Wallet, and there'll be several more major wallets coming soon.
Awesome.
So that's use case number one. The same domain can be used by you to build an uncensorable website. And the way this works is you have your domain stored by you in your wallet. You build a website on IPFS or another decentralized storage network, and then you attach your IPFS hash to your domain. And if you were to go to our website, you can, with a couple of clicks, do this. You just copy and paste your IPFS hash and click save. And we're making tools to make it really easy for you to launch websites on IPFS. So what winds up happening is because the domain is stored by you and the website is on a decentralized storage network, it means that no one can put it up or take it down other than you.
Mm.
Which means that if I were to go and type it into a browser, I can see a website that is censorship resistant. Um, Tools for free speech around the world. And I don't know how closely you followed some of the domain seizures and things like that and web content takedowns that have been happening over the past few years. But there's a lot of stuff. There's web hosting services in Turkey that were forced recently to take down every single website that has the word gay in it. Uh,
Wow.
there was a case in Spain where the Catalonian independence movement was using .cat websites, which is for Catalonia, and the entire registry .cat was raided and shut down. So every single .cat website went down, and it was purely because a group of people wanted to vote on their own sovereignty. That was the reason why websites went down. So this is a huge security flaw in the existing system, and it affects most people around the world. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's super, super important. And I mean, just today, my domain.com, my domain service, had an issue with my domain, and then I couldn't access my website, or no one could access my website. So, just goes to show the issues with traditional domain hosting services. And, we need these types of these services and solutions that you guys are providing. And so how does Unstoppable work with Ziliqa? Like, does it use that blockchain in some way, or how does that work? Like, or is .zil just one of the address types that you can use?
So we have two domain extensions. We have .zil, which was launched on the Ziliqa blockchain, and you can use any cryptocurrency type with it. So you can pay, with Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever to your .zil domain. And now we're launching .crypto on the Ethereum blockchain, but same thing. So
Okay.
you can use either domain name system for any type of cryptocurrency payment. And so the blockchain is really just like, where do we launch our application? It's the developer platform that we use. So it's not really a consumer consideration. There's advantages and disadvantages to different ones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And so, what sparked the idea, or like when did the discussion begin to actually start Unstoppable?
So the conversations are dating back to 2015 around domain name systems, around problems with cryptocurrency payments. I would actually say that this problem has been relatively well known in the crypto world for a while. Namecoin was launched, I think, back in 2011, was the first attempt, a blockchain just for domain names. And so this idea has been floating around. Everyone's been complaining about the 40-character Ethereum addresses. This has just been an issue that everyone's sort of known and called out was there. And it really wasn't until the tooling on Ethereum got good enough for it to be clear that, hey, like, smart contract platforms are now actually good enough that you can launch a real app. Now, I think that became possible the first time somewhere in 2017. And it's just now, 2 years later, we're starting to see some cool applications actually working. Like God Chain, MakerDAO, things like that. And so it was like it first became possible in 2017. So that was the real genesis of the company. Was, hey, like, now's the time. Let's jump in. The water's finally warm. We've been waiting for this for years. Now these tools are really ready to handle a real business use case. And it took a little while to get to a place where we now have something that we think is easy enough for users to actually use.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. So, what are some of the next big updates coming for Unstoppable?
So the biggest things are, well, .crypto coming out is the huge thing. So that's this week, users will be able to claim their .crypto domains, start using them, start attaching their addresses, start using them for payments and things like that. And then the next big set of things we have coming out are all around websites. So. Okay. We've got a batch of, I think, maybe 200 or so websites that have already been built by community members, just enthusiasts attaching IPFS websites to their domains. And we're going to be launching some tools to make it easy for everyone to view them, as well as some tools to make it easy for everyone to build them, with a goal of by early next year, we should have thousands of these things. And once we have thousands of websites, we can show everybody that, hey, like, not only do these websites have new functionality where they can work better, but we really can replace the entire internet and give ourselves a decentralized one. So it's possible now. It's going to take a bit of work. We need to essentially rebuild the internet. This is a alternate internet sitting off to the side. And so a lot of the tools that exist with our current web building tools that I'm sure you use on a regular basis aren't going to be initially available, aren't going to be initially integrated. So there's a lot of work to do to make it as easy as the 2019 internet is. But yeah, that's the stuff I'm most excited about right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's super important that not only like, I mean, even if you guys were just replacing crypto addresses with human readable names, I think that's huge. But not only that, that you're tackling the whole issue around censored websites and making uncensorable solutions. So how many wallets, or no, I guess we already talked about that. Where do you find that Unstoppable Domains fits in with other existing like naming solutions like FIO or like Ethereum name service? And like maybe what are some of the differences that make you guys unique and similar?
Yeah, so I think Ethereum name service, I would say, was sort of they were an inspiration for us. They were kind of a demo application for, what a blockchain-based domain registry could be. So we originally built our first product, a demo product, on top of ENS. It was like a registrar. We identified some issues and wanted to go and solve them, and determined that the best way to do that would be to create our own registry. The biggest problems that we saw were, one, you needed multi-currency. ENS was just for Ethereum. And two, that you needed to be really careful about your distribution process. Meaning that if you just open it up for anyone to register anything, then you wind up with a namespace full of squatters. This is an unfortunate thing about human behavior. If you know that it's possible to get in the middle and buy something for $10 that you might be able to sell to the real owner for $100, someone's going to do it. And so in the traditional world, there's systems for this. One is, it's called a sunrise period, where you identify trademark holders and you basically give them the right of first refusal to get a domain. So whoops, the light's going out in my room. Should I fix that?
No, I mean, it's fine now.
Okay. So give them the right of first refusal to buy the domain. And so we pre-identified about 1 million domains that fit this criteria and are now going through that process. So there's a much smaller number of squatters. I think it was like 80% of buyers of the most recent ENS auction were people squatting on trademark domain names, which is going to prevent crypto companies, but also normal companies, from actually being able to join in. So that's a pretty big problem. The other thing that I think has been maybe surprising to me is that it sounded, from the most recent things that I've heard, that ENS is focused on integration with the traditional domain name world. We see that as valueless. It's a centralized system. It's a custodial system, and we're very focused on the free speech use case. And we think free speech is the real reason why this stuff is valuable, and therefore the traditional DNS system is not relevant. That's a custodial system that has a massive security flaw, which is, call it the registrar, and that's a security flaw that's deep in that system. But we respect those guys a lot. So I would say those are probably the biggest differences. FIO I'm not as familiar with, but so far as I know, they're not live. I believe that in terms of registries that are out there and kicking, it would probably be ENS and us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's interesting that you guys have a much wider variety of cryptocurrencies that you can actually set up with your .zil address or your .crypto address. Because I think with Ethereum, it's like 12 or 13. I can't remember exactly, but with you guys, it was more like 40 or somewhere around there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we're at over 100, but we also launched that. I think they essentially decided to launch that feature in response to us having launched it many months before, because previously they were making the case that they were an Ethereum system, and I think this has sort of been the cycle of applications being built in the crypto world in general, is that everyone's trying to build for their own community. We're trying to build for every crypto community. We want to onboard every crypto community to this sort of stuff. So yeah, I think there's a lot of pieces to it. I find that the registry part is really not the biggest problem. Registries are important. It's important to do the distribution stuff like I mentioned. But I would say the real problem is making user tools easy. So until we had we spent a lot of time focusing on our registrar, unstoppabledomains.com. Not like a typical GoDaddy registrar. We're not a custodian, but you can, inside of our app, with a copy and paste and click save and add crypto addresses. So it's super simple. We even cover your Ethereum transaction fees for the gas because we want to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to use this stuff. Same is true for the IPFS hash and for the website building stuff. Like, all of this tech has been possible to make. It's just you had to be a developer. And not just that, you had to be a developer who deeply understood how Ethereum worked, which is very, very high bar. So we just want to make it so this is like a simple onboarding tool for new crypto users as well as a power tool for existing ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do you see Unstoppable going in the next year and then in the next 5 years, ideally? Because 5 years is a long span of time, especially for the crypto world.
Yeah, I mean, we've been focused heavily on payments in 2019, building out the payments use case, getting into all the wallets. 2020 is going to be really, really heavy around the websites, getting browser launches, getting browser extension tools in the hands of everybody, getting cool websites out there, getting wallets and other dApps launched on the decentralized internet so everyone can play around with it and see what it's like and see the differences. And so that's kind of over the next year. Websites are the biggest focus. Over the next 5 years, I mean, it expands, but I would say that you're talking about payments, you're talking about websites, you're talking about some pretty massive industries. So the domain, excuse me, the domain name world is worth about $50 billion. The traditional domain name world is about $50 billion worth of domain assets. The blockchain domain asset pool could be far bigger because everyone needs one. It's not just a business. Every consumer needs one too. So there could be a few billion domains, whereas there's only 300 million domains in the traditional world. So there's a huge market there. But the even bigger market is this website hosting piece. And so far as we can tell, decentralized storage networks are going to work better than Amazon Web Services, ultimately. It'll be more robust. It'll be more secure. You'll have less downtime. It'll be cheaper because it'll be more like Uber, where anybody can sell me extra storage space they have anywhere in the world. So it's just a better way to store content. And ultimately that's going to win, but that's, several $100 billion a year industry, but it's also the infrastructure that we rely on as a society. So it's really fundamental stuff. So I think there's just a lot of room there to build out more stuff around payments and websites.
Yeah, absolutely. So how many people are currently set up on .zil? Like, how many people have like a .zil address or just are in your your user base?
So there's 120,000 .zil domains registered so far, about 50,000 .crypto domains registered so far. That number's growing pretty fast though. That number may actually be higher, as I haven't checked this since a couple of days ago. And I think there's about 20,000 unique users.
Awesome. And will your team or you or anyone on your team be attending any events anytime soon? Should we be looking out for Unstoppable at any specific conferences in the next year or so?
Yeah, so we'll definitely be at NFT NYC, which is an awesome builder conference with a whole bunch of people building non-fungible tokens on Ethereum. There's an event called NamesCon, which is a traditional domain conference, which we'll be talking at end of January. And I'm sure we'll be at Consensus and the other Blockchain Week stuff. We did a bunch of stuff for SF Blockchain Week that just ended, and I'm sure we'll do the same for New York. So those are the most likely so far, but I'm sure there'll be more too.
Awesome. And where can everyone go to learn more about this and get themselves a .zil address?
.zil or .crypto. You can go to unstoppabledomains.com and you can just search for a domain, check it out. I also recommend checking out our Telegram. There's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week conversation in there about all things related to blockchain domains.
Awesome. And is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we end this off?
Just to check out the latest on .crypto, which should be going live on the Ethereum blockchain this week.
Awesome. Thanks again for doing this. I think it's really important that I cover all the bases for naming services and make sure that my audience and everyone watching has a good idea of all the differences and why they should check out one versus the other. So I really appreciate you coming on here and sort of laying all that out and explaining all the differences and how you guys are uniquely different from, say, Ethereum name service. And again, I appreciated it a lot.
No, thanks so much for having me. This was awesome.
Awesome. All right. Cheers.